Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd family YouTube video, wherever you are, whatever you may be doing. Thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd family a part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. Before I get into today's video, I gotta send a quick shout out to my man Trey, who actually subscribed to the channel late last night. He tried earlier in the day and said he didn't have very good service. I told him, I know how you feel, because it seems like no matter where I go, I never have good service. But Trey, so good to have you along. He told me he's just a huge sports fan in general, and I told him you've come to the right place, because we talk all major sports and post videos every single day. Trey, thank you so much for subscribing, and he wanted me to send out a big Go Tigers, and him and I are both disappointed that Clemson does not play today. But Trey, thank you so much for subscribing. Tell your friends, tell your family, and don't forget, whenever we get to 1,000 subscribers, we are having a giveaway. All you have to do is hit that subscribe button, which is free, and hopefully hit that thumbs up in every single video that you watch, and then get on the comment section and comment. Once you subscribe and comment, you are eligible to win our giveaway whenever we get to 1,000 subscribers. Hopefully that'll be sooner rather than later. But today's video, we're going to be talking about Major League Baseball playoffs. I wanted to wait until every single series had at least one game in. Of course, the American League Series have had 2 games, and both National League Series kicked off yesterday, and the Braves fell to the Brewers by the score of 2-1, which should not be a shock. Anybody that's followed the Braves or followed baseball at all, you know the Braves have had a long history of putting up big numbers offensively in the regular season, and then get in the playoffs and they just forget how to hit, which is why all the years Bobby Cox was there, they only won one World Series, because they'd get in the playoffs and they wouldn't score. And everybody wanted to blame Bobby Cox, but when you're putting up 1 or 2 runs a game in the playoffs, you're normally not going to win very many games. Let's remember, the year the Braves won the World Series, Game 6, they won by the score of 1-0. So even the year they won the World Series under Bobby Cox, they didn't score any runs. But the funny part about that game yesterday was, in the top of the first, Soler walked, and then Freeman walked, and the Braves had 2 runners on, but ball 4 to Freeman was a pass ball, and Soler took off to third, which is what you're supposed to do, to put runners on the corners with nobody out. And the Braves did that, and they didn't score. And then when the Braves didn't score, I said, they'll lose now, because I've just watched the Braves too many times in the playoffs get runners on, get their chances, and don't take advantage of it. But Soler got to third, and then the ball that Ozzie hit, he tried to score on. If he would have stayed at third, they would have scored on the very next batter, because Austin Riley came up. That was a wild pitch. And if Soler was on third, he would have scored right then. So if the pass ball to Freeman wouldn't have got Soler to third and he would have stayed at second, then he could have went to third on the double play and then scored on the wild pitch. Or if he would have stayed at third and not tried to go home, he could have scored on the wild pitch. But he didn't, and the Braves didn't score, and sure enough, that was the difference, because they lost 2-1. And then they have Game 2 coming up today at 5 o'clock. It's a must-win for the Braves, because if they fall behind 2-0, I just don't see them beating the Brewers 3 games in a row. So Max Fried needs to be on his A game today, and the Braves need to put up a little bit of offense. If Fried pitches the way he's pitched since July, if the Braves score 3, that'll be enough. We also had the Giants and Dodgers kicking off their series last night. The Giants shut out the Dodgers by the score of 4-0. Now, if you're a long-time baseball fan, you'll know where I'm going with this. But in the early 21st century, for about 6 or 7 years, the Philadelphia Phillies had the best lineup and probably the best team in baseball, because at one time, if you recall, they had Roy Halladay and Cliff Lee and Cole Hamels and Brad Lidge as their closer. And lineup-wise, they had Ryan Howard, Chase Utley, Jimmy Rollins, Shane Victorino, Carlos Ruiz, just on and on and on with the players they had. And they eventually fired Charlie Manuel because they had, like I said, probably the best team in baseball for 6 or 7 years straight, and they only won one World Series. And of course, they blamed it on the manager, so they fired Charlie Manuel. Well, if the Dodgers ain't careful, they're heading down that same road, because they've had the best team in baseball, I know, for at least 5 years, and they've won one World Series. And I think their window is closing because Clayton Kershaw is no longer Clayton Kershaw. Their closer, Kenley Jansen, is no longer Kenley Jansen. And this looks like it's going to be Seager's last year with the Dodgers. So if they don't win it this year, then I'm afraid they're going to be the modern-day Phillies and have the best team in baseball for 5-6 years and only win one World Series. And I just don't think they're going to do it. I think the Giants are better than they are. Even though the Dodgers are still, for the most part, healthy, for whatever reason, I know it was only game one, the Dodgers just don't look any good to me. But we'll find out. They have game two coming up today as well. It'll actually be tonight at 9 o'clock when they have their first pitch for game two. And then over on the American League side, we had the Red Sox beat the Rays by the score of 14-6, and that series is now even at one game apiece after Tampa Bay looked dominant in game one on Thursday night. They're having an off day today. They'll play game three coming up tomorrow. And then the other American League series, the Astros are up 2-0 over the White Sox after winning yesterday by the score of 9-4. They're off today as well. They'll play game three coming up tomorrow. I'm anxious to see how deep the Astros go. I'm not an Astros fan, but if you follow baseball, you know the Astros manager is Dusty Baker. And of course, Dusty Baker's managed the Giants and the Cubs and the Reds and the Nationals and now the Astros. And he's always been known as the guy that could coach or manage really good in the regular season, but couldn't manage in the playoffs. Now, he was the Giants manager the one time they went to the World Series back when they had Barry Bonds, and they put up a good fight, and they just lost because the Angels were a better team. But in my personal opinion, the majority of the time, whatever team he's been managing, when they lose in the playoffs, it's not anything he did. It's because the other team was just better. But you know how it is. You make the playoffs and you lose, it falls on the manager. Now, there was one year he managed the Reds, and they played really, really good in the regular season and then got in the division series, and they got swept. And they didn't just get swept. They got dominated in all 3 games and just looked like they didn't even care. So when that happens, it falls on the manager. And I don't understand that philosophy at all. I've never understood, whether it's baseball, basketball, football, any sport, when a team gets beat and somebody says, oh, they just didn't care. If you don't care, you shouldn't play. Because, like Herm Edwards said a long time ago, and the quote still gets played to this day, you play to win the game. Whatever game it is, you play to win the game. So if you're out there and you need a coach to motivate you, you shouldn't play. Because your number one goal, your main objective should be to win. And if you need your coach or manager, depending on whatever the sport is, if you need your coach to come motivate you, to make you want to win, don't play. Because that's why you play. There's no other reason to play except for to win. But anytime a team does not look motivated, it always falls on the coach or the manager, depending on whatever sport you're talking about. Because in baseball, we know they're called managers in the major leagues. Now, college baseball, you're called a coach. High school baseball, you're called a coach. But Major League Baseball, you're called a manager. So if you need your coach or your manager to come motivate you to want to win, don't play, because that's your number one goal when you join the team is you want to win. But anytime a team looks like they don't want to win, it falls on the coach. So that year that the Reds looked like they just didn't care, Dusty looked bad then. But in my opinion, every other time he's just gotten beat by better teams. Now we know the Astros won the World Series just a few years ago. They don't have all the players they had from that team, but they still have some of the key players. So they should beat the White Sox, but I'm just interested to see if they can get by the Rays or the Red Sox, whichever team comes out of that division series matchup. So far, the Red Sox and the Rays, it's been a very interesting series. Like I said, Thursday, the Rays dominated, and then yesterday, the Red Sox dominated. Now, so far, Martinez has not played for the Red Sox, but you can't even tell because of the offensive numbers they put up yesterday. But we'll have to wait and see if they miss him in the long run or not. But so far, they're doing fine without him, but he is, beyond the shadow of a doubt, he's their best hitter. But all of you football fans, enjoy the college football games today. All of you Major League Baseball fans, enjoy the 2 playoff games today. And if you like both, try to watch as much of both as you possibly can. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. I burned 2,000 calories today. I left my food in the oven for too long. And that wraps it up for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.